It's another man in the circle. And with that, we do life very well together. And any of them can attest to it.
So the goal is kind of to live life to the fullest.
Absolutely. Plus, we like to eat tacos before drinking beer. So
Yeah.
that's what we did tonight. Part of it.
I don't know if I want to sit in at the end of your small group or not. For those of you that don't know what a small group is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a small group of guys that meet probably weekly. I've been in 2 of them in my life, one of them for over 20 years, and we would meet Thursday mornings in the back of a barbecue restaurant and have breakfast, same guys every week. But it's what Doc's talking about, you're doing life together. And so, I mean, we would set it up with, it was on biblical principles. And it's like, I know some of you here aren't believers, and that, you know, I am, and I'm not going to apologize for it. But it's like even things like the 10 Commandments, you know, that if you think about it from a father's perspective, thou shalt not commit adultery. Well, does that mean he's not going to love you if you do that? No. What it says is, if you do this, you're going to break all trust with your wife and all trust with your kids, and you're going to jack up your life. So that's why it's a rule. That's why it's a guardrail. Don't do this. You're going to jack up your life. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife or thy neighbor's possessions. So if you're not satisfied with what you have, if you're looking around, in comparison is the death of contentment. I will tell you that. If you're looking around going, I'm not happy because I don't have what he's got, it's going to jack up your life. You're going to start chasing the wrong things. And so that's why there were these commandments. It was a loving father going, don't do this. You'll screw up your life if you do this. So, but my small group, we went through the birth of kids together. We buried parents together. You know, we might have a lesson plan. We'd pick books of the Bible and we say, okay, over the next month, we're going to go through the book of John. But if some guy came in and he's like, hey guys, I'm really struggling in my marriage, we'd close the lesson, and that's what we do that day. Is other guys would go, hey man, I've been through that. I've struggled in my marriage. And I think, and the reason I ask you why you're here tonight, you wouldn't be here if everything in your life was perfect. I just get that feeling as you're like, man, I've chased everything the world says there is to chase, but I'm still not satisfied. And that is the beauty of a small group, and that is the beauty of faith to me. Here's the other thing that we do as men is, I used to notice when I would take my kids to school, and I have all girls, and that's why I have the gray hair. I have all girls. But people would ask the little girls, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a little girl could say, I want to be a mom, and that was a great answer. But little boys never said, I want to be a dad, or I want to be a husband. Little boys would say, I want to be a football player, or I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a policeman, and so I think early on as men, we're indoctrinated, we're identified by what we do is who we are. I was doing an interview 7 or 8 years ago, talking to a lady, and one of her questions, she goes, okay, so you do stand-up, you write books, you paint, you host TV shows. Which one are you? And I thought, well, that's a weird question. I've never been asked that before. And I said to her, I said, well, the things you've named are all things that I do. And I love the things that I do. I feel like the luckiest. I don't know why I can do them. I can just do them. It is a gift. And so many of you hear what you do for a living. It's a gift. I can't even take credit for being good at anything because I don't know why I can do it. I can just do it. But it's a gift, and I've been entrusted with it, and I'm a steward of it. I said, but those are all things that I do. Who I am is I'm a husband, and I'm a father, and I'm a brother, and I'm a son, and I'm a child of God, and I'm a person of this community. And so through the course of my life, what I do may change many, many times. Probably a lot of you folks. I mean, changed careers, changed jobs many, many times. Nothing wrong with that. But what I wanted was who I am to stay consistent through all of that. So they're not the same thing. Flunked out of school, lost a place to live, lost all my money, and I just couldn't hurt anymore. And I'm sitting across from him going, hell, I would have started smoking crack too. And all of a sudden you realize there, but for the grace of God, I'm in a homeless mission. And what I learned over the years, people tend to view them as drug addicts or alcoholics, and a lot of them are. But that's the symptom. If you go back and find out the reason, so many of them had been molested, so many of them had been abandoned, so many of them some horrible trauma had happened to them early in life, and the hurt was so bad they couldn't deal with it, so they numbed. And so I asked the guy, I said, why'd you invite me down here? He goes, I want you to start a small group. There we go again, small group. He said, these guys have chapel a couple of times a week. They've never had a small group. And my dumb ass said yes, which is the only thing we can do for God is say yes when he whispers something to us. I said, and I did say to him, I said, there's almost 7 million people in Atlanta, and you can't find anybody more qualified to do this than me, But I said yes, and I had to, when I first started going, I had to stop at Chick-fil-A and buy them chicken biscuits just to get them to come. I had to bribe them. And it started with me and 12 guys, and over the course of a dozen years, it grew to 32 group leaders and almost 300 homeless guys every Tuesday morning. I would get up at 5 o'clock, which was really hard for me because when you're a comic, you're doing a show late, and because I had kids, I would lease a plane. I spent so much money. I would fly home every night, no matter where I was on the road. If I was doing a show in Minnesota, I'd do it. I'd get back on that plane. I'd fly home. I'd land at PDK at 2. I'd go home. I'd get up at 6, and I'd take them to school. I went through like a decade without sleeping. But when I would do the missions on Tuesday morning, I had to get up at 5 because I had to be at Chick-fil-A at 6:30 and wait for them to unlock the door in order to be downtown by 7. And I did it forever. And one of my daughters told me not long ago, I never said anything to the kids about it. She said, Dad, do you know what one of the pillars of my faith is? Is how, without saying anything about it, and I know you were dead tired and you got up at 5 o'clock and you would go get those biscuits and you would go down there and do Bible study with those guys. And she said, I just used to think if there's something that good that you felt that need to share it, that I need to delve into it deeper. So that just became one of the... So it's not just what you say. It's because if what you're saying is not what you're doing, it's hollow. It's what you do. You have to be a guy that lives it out, even if you're tired. You're easier to get to.
You said that the first or the most important days of your life were when you were born and when you realized why. I could probably Google when you were born, but when did you realize why?
I was born September 6, 1958 at Georgia Baptist Hospital. I'm an old dude. I'm 64. You know what? And here's the weird thing about a gift. When I was a kid, I would save my allowance and I would buy comedy records and I'd memorize them and I'd go to school and do them, and I was always in trouble. I'd always get on the report card. All he's trying to do is make everybody in the class laugh. He won't shut up. But it never dawned on me that I could be a comedian. I actually, when I got out of school, worked at IBM, and I was the funny guy at work that was in the break room doing impersonations of the boss, and then you'd turn around, the boss would be in the doorway. That was me. And a bunch of guys I worked with entered me in a contest. Remember when the Punchline was up on Hildebrand? They had a contest every year called the Great Southeastern Laugh-Off. It wasn't an amateur night. It was a contest for working comics. So my buddies at work entered me in this contest. I'm like, no, just let me do an amateur night or something. They're like, nope, you're already in it. And so I went home and I wrote 5 minutes about my family. And I went back and did it, and I won the contest. And I was scared to death, had no idea what I was doing. But I knew a minute and a half into it, I'm like, this is what I was born to do. And I worked for a few more months at IBM, and I quit my job. And my mother's first question was, "Are you on the dope?" I don't know what the dope is. And I'm like, no, I'm not on the dope. I said, "Mom, I think I can do this." And I worked my butt off at it. I did it. I had over 8 years in a row. I did 500 or more shows a year for 8 years because I really wanted to be on Johnny Carson before he left, and I was blessed to be able to do that once. But 5 years later, I'm on Johnny Carson. That same mother said to me, "You know, you wasted all those years at IBM." Okay, whatever. But that was the day. But here's the cool thing. Like, I used to get so frustrated when I was a kid in church because I went to one of them old strict Southern Baptist church where you don't drink, don't smoke, don't cuss. You walk in a straight line and you act like this and you do not deviate from that. And I remember wrestling with God as a kid going, "God, I got a problem because I love you, but I can't do this because I'm wired like this. I can't do this." So I didn't know what to do. It's like, crap, I love God, but I can't do this. And it took till I was 30 for him to go, "Hey, who do you think made you like this? You're my masterpiece. I don't need this. I'm infinitely creative. I need this. I need somebody that can make people laugh, but can talk and go talk to guys about me." That was my purpose through that gift. So, which is pretty stinking cool. Yes, sir.
Spent the last 40 years really working to be a great human doing.
Human doing.
And as I am, approaching, the idea of retirement, I'd love to hear your ideas for how to be comfortable as a human being.
God, that's such a great question. And for men, a human doing. And it kind of goes back to that idea. And we even do that with God. I'll do for you. I'll get up and go, "God, I'll get up at 5 o'clock. I'll go to the mission. I'll do this for you. I'll do this for you, do this for you." He goes, "That's great, but I'm going to love you the same whether you get up and go to the mission or not. That's who I am."